Hello, this is a short video to share a little bit about me and who I really am. It's for anyone that wants to know me better, could be friends, colleagues, clients, prospective clients. And I really want to be authentic and natural in this. I may look at my notes occasionally. I want to speak from the heart. I want to speak from my passion. I want to tell you a little bit about the context of my background so that you understand there's some juicy parts to that, but it also gives greater context behind who I am. So I've been an executive coach for 23 years. So I started coaching when coaching really didn't exist or when people didn't really call it that or didn't know what it was. Before that, in my 20s and early 30s, I was an executive in the technology sector. I started off in sales. I worked in very, very high growth organizations, very pressures driven, very, very focused, performance oriented organizations, quite ruthless. That's where I learned my leadership style that didn't work. And so I worked in senior roles in Europe and in Asia. I also co-ran a software startup here in the UK. And all of that led to me having an early midlife crisis where I really questioned what's it all about? Because I grew up with in a very results-oriented way with a strict father. I grew up as an achievement junkie. I got a first-class degree. I was a semi-professional footballer. I cycled John O'Groats to Land's End, the length of Britain, like nearly 1,000 miles at the age of 14 on my own. I'm like, oh my God, I'm already exhausted telling you about this. And then in my 20s, I got into sales and I worked like a nutter to achieve and become the top salesperson wherever I was. In my student summer holidays, I sold aerial photographs door to door, which was like the ultimate challenge to someone that was ludicrously driven. In my 20s, I was also living life on the edge. I was a skydiver. I had a motorbike. I had a motorbike accident. I broke my leg into 5 bits. I had a skydiving accident. Um, and then in my 30s, I went on and I raced to the magnetic North Pole as a team of three, 350 miles. I also did 9 marathons and I did 3 ultra marathons across the Gobi Desert, the Atacama Desert, and the Sahara Desert. And I really am exhausted telling you about this. It's an indication of the way I've tried to live my life fully. I've got so much experience to learn from and reflect on, but it was also part of this driven mechanism that caused me to punch out and question what really life is about. So I went through a period of questioning, what's my purpose? What am I doing all this for? It's not really making me happy, especially the achievement, the career focused bit. So I became a coach. I became a coach as part of my journey to explore and look at who am I really and what do I really want? What is a nourishing, fulfilling life for me? And that's really influenced who I've been for my clients along the way also. I went through a phase of depression, questioning, feeling low. I went through a period of having a difficult marriage. I spent 20 years in a marriage and made the difficult decision to leave that. So some really challenging parts to the life that have shaped me into really following a life that's actually led by a deeper wisdom. Like I've learned to tune into what is wisdom versus noise in the head. What's a fear-driven decision versus coming from a deeper knowing? And I've explored that for many years as I've gone on a deeper psychological path, exploring my own psychological and spiritual makeup so that I can live with more peace of mind, more clarity, more wisdom, more power. And that's a lot of what I bring to clients now. It's like helping them cut through, live with more peace, cut through the noise to gain clarity of who they are and what they deeply want, and hopefully what you deeply want. And now I'm in my mid-50s. I'm living my passion. I'm living my life passionately in Glastonbury in the UK, which is a fascinating place for reflection, contemplation, and exploration. I am a proud father of 2 children who are young adults, Ella and Max. I'm an active yogi. I'm a breath worker. I explore anything that is psychological or spiritual in nature. I'm really curious about the nature of our existence and consciousness and all sorts. I am also an environmental activist. I sing as part of the climate choir, the National Climate Choir. I also sing as part of Shakti Sings, which is an earth choir. We sing at Stonehenge at the solstices. Do come and see me there. It's one of the most amazing sacred experiences you could ever have. And here I am now, stripping back, living life more simply, living life more in nature, more connected to community, more exploring of relationship, more learning and growing. And the role I find myself in my 50s now is to live my life by like my human design profile and my gene keys exploration, which I can tell you more about, to amazing areas of wisdom like ancient wisdom. It's like I'm here as a role model to lead and live my life by example and to be a guide and a coach for others. So my job really is to inspire and challenge you to look at how you're living and leading. And that's what I see as my role here now in this life. So in summary, I'm inspired to help you, inspire you to improve your world. And I'm inspired to help you play your role in changing the whole world. So the main thing is that I coach leaders who want to change the world. I'm really deeply passionate about my role in this lifetime is to shift leadership consciousness so that as consciousness rises, we really start to eradicate and shift some of the greatest issues that are presented in our world and our society. So I'm a stand for you in that. I'm a stand for you leading from authenticity, leading from love, leading from responsibility, from a greater wisdom, from service to the whole. And in that, I'm a stand for you leading in your own life so that you live your own life with more fulfillment, with more balance, with more purpose. I'm a stand for you leading in relationship with others in a better way so that you have more authentic, more connected, more loving, more enjoyable, more quality relationships. I'm also a stand for you leading healthy, happy, high-performing organizations. Sometimes we get people striving for high performance, but they're working in places that aren't healthy and they're not happy. So how I'm a stand for you leading, having both. And I'm also a stand for you leading in this world, leading in your community, leading in society, leading for the good of the planet that we live on. And the last point is really particularly important to me because I see these significant crises that are going on in the world. And for much of my own life, I've been very focused on myself, on my own needs, my own financial needs, my own family needs. And I'm starting to raise my head up and see the crises that are going on in the world. And I realize that I and you and we need to play our part in doing good for the wider needs of society. So why does this matter to me so much? I think it matters to me because actually in my earlier career, I was a terrible leader. I was really bad. I was so driven, a little bit ruthless, quite self-focused, selfish even, and very unskilled as a leader and very driven from my own conditioning and my own ego, not really being effective in any way. And I also experienced lots of leaders like that, leaders that were ineffective and creating chaos and leading by fear in their organizations. So that troubled me. And on my journey, as I started to wake up myself, I started to realize the importance of good leadership. And now I see good leadership is the answer to so much of what's going on in the world. Our world needs it on every level. in people, in their own lives, in their organizations, and in society. So I'm calling it conscious leadership. I think you and I need to lead consciously. And that means waking up. That means increasing our awareness of the conditioning that we've been operating from, the role of the ego, waking up from all of that to become more aware of who we are, how we're leading, how we're coming across, what's important, and how to do it in a conscious, clever, responsible, thought through way. Another way of looking at this, I'm really inspired to help you create a eulogy that you're deeply proud of. So when you get to later stages in your life, you can really look back and say, I made the most of my life, and I really was awesome as a leader and made a difference The core of my work, the right core of my work, is to challenge and transform the way that you think, so that you transform the way that you lead, the way that you work, and the way that you live your life. That's what I'm really passionate about. So who am I? I want to use a few words to describe myself. So the first word I'm going to pick is warm-hearted. I have got a lot softer as time has gone on. I care a lot more deeply about people. And really, I got this from my mother, who was the most generous, kind, and loving person I've ever met. So I care deeply. I care about you. I care about friends. I care about my family. I care about how to bring more love and care and consideration into our organizations and into our world. The second word to describe me is soulful. So I've done a lot of work to get rid of the ego-driven Martin. And so I'm coming from a soulful place. I'm coming from an authenticity, a naturalness, an ease. And the other part of soulful is that I'm purposeful. So I've done a lot of work to work out my purpose and to be purpose-led in my life. And I'll be bringing that to all of my relationships to inspire, coach, have others reflect on how they can bring more purpose into their lives. The third word I'm going to use to describe me is bold. So I get really inspired to live my life fully, to make the most of it. I get inspired to do that, to inspire others in that way, to be bold so that you live fully, you embrace your life, you don't get run. Like, I'm really caught up with this, like this idea of the hamster wheel is like, we get on a hamster wheel and it's very easy for decades to pass. And we're doing things in the same way, with the same level of thinking, stuck in the way that we've always been. And I'm like, no, we can't do this. Part of my role is to challenge you from that, to inspire you to break free from the limited beliefs that you may have, to be who you really can be in this world. And that's why I created the company, my company, as Unbounded. Be unbounded. Be unbounded. Release yourself from whatever might be holding you back. The fourth word I'm going to pick is insightful. So I've done a huge number of things and I've coached a huge number of people and I've got a huge amount of experience. And I'm here now to use all that together with deep intuition to be insightful, to tune into what's going on, to name what's going on, to be bold in naming and noticing what's going on and using that insight for me to tune into how do I lead my own life in a wiser, cleverer way, but how do I bring that to clients also? And the last word, actually, I think I've decided there's two more words. Yeah, there are two more words. This penultimate word is pragmatic. So whatever we do together, whatever I do with clients, I want there to be a pragmatic element to it, a practical element, which is like, I want deep and transformational conversation. I want shifts in thinking, but ultimately that has to end up in practical impact. What are we going to do with that? How are we going to make a practical change to the way that we live or the way that we're leading? My last word is sustainability. sustainability is so important for me. It's the topical word at the moment. Sustainability means how do we look after our planet? But also, for me, I mean, how do you lead your organization in a way that's sustainable so that people don't burn out, so that well-being is really part of the function of how the organization works? And how do you look after your own sustainability so that you are living and working in a way that is maintainable and sustainable? The core of my work, the right core of my work is to challenge and transform the way that you think so that you transform the way that you lead, the way that you work, and the way that you live your life. That's what I'm really passionate about.